What up? It's your boy, The Incredible Man, and this is 911 Lone Star Season 3, Episode 15, Down to Clown. Let's talk about it, man.
I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings, I'ma be fine.
I'm gonna be 100% right off rip, man. I have no qualms with Owen being the center of attention for a lot of the stories. I don't have problems with that because it's a lot of times it's a pretty good, decent story, and this episode was no different. But I'm at the point to where I'm tired of seeing Owen in the spotlight. Man, there's enough of our main characters, and we know enough about our characters to where we can have someone else lead the episode, and it doesn't have to be solely based on Owen. And don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking it because I like Owen's character, but it's just it doesn't have to be him every week. And this week, yet again, it was Owen's week, along with some other side stories. And I'm gonna be 100%. The side stories were better for me, in my opinion, man. I'm not knocking Owen's, traumatic past and him dealing with this stuff with his father and everything, and him having, like a special trauma towards clowns and everything and stuff like that, and getting to the root cause of his rage. I get that, but that could have been one of those things that we done, and it doesn't have to be showcased as much. We could have just left it to the point to where we see he's going to therapy, and over the course of the weeks, we get tidbits of him going to therapy. It didn't have to be like a sole focus this entire episode, along with the other, side stories that was taking place this episode with Grace, Judd, and TK and Carlos. Those two stories were better in my opinion. Let's talk about the beginning of the episode, man. We see that this dude is he has like a YouTube channel or something, and he does like nature stuff or whatnot. But he's out here trying to catch this alligator. Let me get this right. Alligator lizard, if I'm not mistaken. And he's trying to directly stab it in the ground, right? The alligator lizard crawls up onto his thigh. And the dude just, oh look, it's the alligator lizard, and just stabs his thigh. Come on, man, that's stupid. Nobody sees something on themselves and just I got a knife or something, so let me just stab it. Your first instinct is to swat it away because you don't want it on you. Anyway, he stabs himself, and the alligator lizard buries itself under his skin. And TK and Nancy and Tommy come, and they kind of get it out of him, and then TK decides to keep it and brings it home to Carlos. And Carlos what? Man, I was talking about a normal pet, not this. And TK decides to keep it as a pet. And that was a little interesting story. We see the entire episode is TK trying to get food for it and trying to convince Carlos that it's going to be fine. And then we come back and we see that it escaped. And TK's up here. Ooh, I just love you. You look so good tonight, Carlos. And then he pulls up and it was he's trying to find the alligator lizard. He's looking around the apartment and everything, and it's sitting on Carlos's shoulder. That was funny. That was good, and it kind of took away from the little bit of seriousness that we had at the very beginning of the episode, and I really enjoyed that. Because we get to see Dave this week again, and I really love Dave. I will say this though, Dave was a little bit annoying this week while he was living with Judd and Grace, but I did love seeing Dave again. But we get to this serious moment at the beginning of the episode where we see that he loses one of his 911 call victims because the people were remodeling the building, and the room that Dave sent him into was supposed to have windows, but they closed it off, and then they didn't relay that information to city planning maybe or whatever. So the room is closed off, and the dude ended up dying, and it made Dave feel some type of way. And Grace was there to try to comfort him and help him, and she invited him over for dinner, and he ended up staying for I want to say probably about a week and a half, maybe tops. And oh my gosh, it was hilarious, man. I enjoyed seeing Dave with Grace every day. I'll just wait in the car. You're gonna be late again? I'll just wait in the car. And I couldn't take that bad coffee anymore. So Grace had it up to here with Dave. You know what I'm saying? But him and Judd seemed to hit it off a little bit. It was nice. And then we see her talking to Tommy about Dave. And Tommy was like, hey, I got a house guest, but my house guest cleans. He helps me with my kids and everything else. But we get to see that moment where Dave is helping with Charlie and everything like that. And he was supposed to record the steps of Charlie taking the first steps, and he turned the camera around on himself. And when Jed laid down in the bed, he was like, It's time for him to go, ain't it, baby? Yep, you right. It's just like, well, the judge was like, what are you going to tell him? What are you going to tell him? It was nice to see that. We got to see that little reprieve, and we got to see Dave kind of, not, retreat into himself a little bit. But then at the end of the episode, we see that Grace is getting ready to kick him out, and, she still feels a little bad about it. But then Dave decides to tell her, hey, I got to leave on my own. You guys are smothering me. It's too much. I can't take all of this. The only thing about that is I feel like Dave said all of that to get to the point to where he knew that it was becoming too much, but he didn't want to put that burden on Grace, you know what I'm saying? Because we know that Grace is a nice character, and she probably just would have put up with it probably just a little bit longer until she finally couldn't take it anymore. But he decided to, he didn't want to give her that opportunity to have to be the bad guy, if you will. So he took it upon himself, hey, this is too much. You guys are smothering me, so I'm just going to leave on my own. It was nice to see that, but it was nice to have that whole environment. I really enjoyed the Grace, Dave, and Judd storyline. That was one of the highlights for this episode. For me, I really, really enjoyed it. Now, back to the Owen stuff, man, because nobody else got any screen time. I mean, we saw everybody else, but nobody else really got any major screen time. And that's what I feel like Owen is taking away from some of the other characters. They're not getting as much screen time as they normally would because all the focus ends up on Owen. Now, I'm not knocking it because I feel like it's a good thing that he's seeing a therapist, dealing and trying to find out the root of his rage causes, but I'm just saying in general, man. And it was a nice episode because we get to see him in that moment where they have the second case where the father's trying to be there for his son, but he's dressed up as the clown and he kind of gets stuck. And we see Owen over there freaking out a little bit. Hey, you guys got it, man. You got it. So it was nice to have that little comedic part, but we were dealing with a lot of emotional stuff in this episode as well. And I will say this, it was nice to see Owen just a little bit vulnerable, and to see that he found the root cause of his anger. And we see at the end of the episode him trying to contact his father, and then it just fades to black. So next week I feel like we're dealing with the fact that he might try to come in contact with his father, and I don't know if that's a nurse or whatever to answer the phone, but he may have a completely entire another family out there, and that may bring in another sibling or something. It could be a whole nother storyline, but we'll just have to wait for next week and see what pops off, man. This is your boy Dave Incredible. Don't forget to smash the like button too. You can smash any more, comment down below, and I'll be sure to respond to each and every one of them, and subscribe, but only if you really want to, man. Peace out.
All out, and I am here to stay right now, so don't call it a comeback.